Eating too much or lying down immediately after a meal can trigger acid reflux. Stomach acid rising into the esophagus can lead to discomfort, often felt as heartburn. The esophagus is the tube that connects the mouth to the stomach. Acid reflux is something many of us experience. However, if it becomes persistent, it can turn into a more serious condition, known as gastroesophageal reflux disease or GERD.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nisa Nabila and you're watching My Body, My Life.
Gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, is increasingly common worldwide. Between 1990 and 2019, GERD cases grew by 77.53%, from about 441 million to 784 million. Obesity is one of the leading factors contributing to the rising prevalence of GERD. According to the 2023 National Health and Morbidity Survey, over 50% of Malaysian adults are overweight or obese. Compared to individuals with a healthy weight, those who are overweight are 50% more likely to suffer from GERD, while those who are obese are 200% more likely. If the trend of obesity and sedentary lifestyles continue, GERD prevalence in Malaysia will continue to grow.
Gastroesophageal reflux disease, also called GERD or GERD, basically it is a condition that there's a persistent acid reflux, which is the reflux of the stomach content from the stomach back into the esophagus, which are the tube connecting from the mouth and the stomach.
So in that tube, that's how food which is eaten or food or a drink which is taken is swallowed through that tube into the stomach. Now the esophagus ideally is a place that is not exposed to any acid at all. So when acid from the stomach refluxes back into the esophagus, that's when you have gastroesophageal reflux disease.
The esophagus is a hollow muscular tube that sits in the center of the chest and forms part of the digestive system. It connects the throat to the stomach and carries food and liquids from the mouth to the stomach. Normally, whatever we eat or drink moves downwards through this tube, but when it moves in the opposite direction or is forced back up, it leads to a condition called acid reflux. Occasional acid reflux can cause discomfort, like heartburn or pain in the chest and stomach. However, if acid reflux occurs frequently and doesn't stop, it can develop into a serious condition that damages the body's tissues. Gastroesophageal reflux disease or GERD, if left untreated, can severely impact the quality of life.
GERD or gastroesophageal reflux disease happens when your valve or your door, which is called the lower esophageal sphincter (LES), is not properly closed or loose. What are the causes that weakens the LES? Obesity, overeating, pregnancy, stress, and even so, hiatal hernia.
So acid reflux, so the acid in the stomach is a natural phenomena. Everyone's stomach has acid, and acid is very important in the stomach for the process of digestion. As digestion, it is one of the first places that digestion starts, and that is because of the acid in the stomach. However, acid is not meant to be anywhere outside the stomach, because in other places the lining of the esophagus is not created to withstand the corrosive effects of acid.
Usually we do have a certain degree of acid reflux on and off, but that doesn't mean that you have a gastroesophageal reflux disease. So when you have a gastroesophageal reflux disease, that means you have a regular, persistent and chronic acid reflux. So in acid reflux, by right, our acid content should be moving in one way, which is from our esophagus to stomach. But in acid reflux or acid regurgitation, this acid actually backflow into our esophagus, which cause irritations and tissue damage.
The lower esophageal sphincter, LES, is a ring-shaped muscle located at the bottom of the esophagus, connecting to the stomach. The LES relaxes and opens to allow food or liquids into the stomach, then closes to prevent food and stomach acid from flowing back into the esophagus. When the LES cannot close properly, acid reflux occurs. Several factors can weaken LES function, including obesity. Excess weight can create high stomach pressure, increasing the likelihood of acid being pushed into the esophagus. Hiatal hernia. This condition occurs when the upper part of the stomach bulges into the chest cavity through the diaphragm, weakening the LES. Pregnancy. Hormonal changes and the pressure exerted by a growing uterus can increase the risk of GERD. Smoking. Chronic coughing from smoking can weaken diaphragm muscles, increasing the risk of hiatal hernia. Smoking also slows digestion and increases stomach acid production.
The possibility and risk factors of GERD or GERD are basically involving a structure called a lower esophageal sphincter, which is a LES. So in normal individual, this LES acts as a valve which prevent the opening of the stomach and also at the same time prevent the acidic reflux or acid regurgitation.
So the esophagus is a tube that basically connects the mouth to the stomach. So this tube is made up of muscle. So it is a muscular tube connecting the mouth to the stomach. So as soon as we swallow, food and water or liquids travel down the esophagus from the mouth, and the way it travels down is a process that is called esophageal motility. It's by the muscles of the esophagus that propel or move the food down the esophagus and into the stomach itself.
When I was 30 years old, I started to have this kind of reflux, like feeling uneasy. My stomach feels so bloated and all that. And then only then I looked up in the Google and found that it is reflux.
GERD causes more than just heartburn. It can present a range of symptoms. Its symptoms are often mistaken for other conditions like gastritis or kidney stones due to their similarities. This overlap can sometimes make GERD difficult to detect or lead to misdiagnosis.
GERD doesn't play favorites. What does it mean? It means that it can affect anyone in the world, from adults, children, to babies. That's why it's important for you to check your symptoms.
So the symptoms of GERD are actually very varied and multiple. Most commonly, patients have something they call as heartburn, and this happens because acid, when it refluxes back into the esophagus, the acid is corrosive and it burns the lower end of the esophagus. So in some patients, they feel there is a burning sensation at the lower chest area. Usually after food, they feel a burning there.
Another type of symptoms due to cardiac disease, which we call angina pain. So to differentiate between heartburns and angina pain, the characteristics and the nature of the pains will help us to differentiate it. In GERD, usually we'll have a very burning and you will feel there's acid regurgitation. Whereas in the non-cardiac, the cardiac chest pain, you will feel there's a stabbing pains or you feel a heaviness of your chest.
Heartburn is the most common symptom of GERD. However, the burning and sharp pain in the chest can sometimes be mistaken for heart problems. Another common symptom is burning discomfort that spreads to the chest, neck, and stomach. Regurgitation happens when undigested food travels back up the throat, causing nausea or the urge to vomit. This can leave a sour or bitter taste in the mouth, often reducing appetite. When stomach acid rises into the esophagus, it can lead to throat pain, creating the feeling of something stuck or difficulty swallowing. This condition, called dysphagia, can make eating take longer and may sometimes be painful. In some cases, GERD can also trigger asthma-like symptoms such as persistent coughing and shortness of breath as acid particles irritate the airways.
When we talk about typical symptoms, we also have atypical symptoms or extraesophageal symptoms. Because the acid reflux sometimes will enter the airway, so some people might experience chronic cough, which is dry in nature, dry cough. And also they might have throat irritation as well because of laryngeal reflux of the acid content. And at the meantime, some individual might experience sensation or lumpy sensations in the throat. So these are what we call atypical or extraesophageal symptoms in GERD.
Another symptom which is common is what we call as regurgitation, and that is patients sometimes after food, they have regurgitation of food or liquids or sometimes even acid into the mouth. And sometimes they even vomit because the food tends to come out after a meal, especially after a heavy meal. Some people also complain of a sour taste in their mouth, sometimes a symptom which we call as water breath, and they feel a discomfort in their mouth after eating.
Recent studies reveal that gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD, is more common in infants and children than previously believed. Symptoms such as repeated vomiting, persistent coughing, and difficulty breathing are often present. In younger individuals, reflux episodes usually occur sporadically and rarely develop into severe or long-lasting conditions.
So one of the main complications of GERD is esophagitis. Esophagitis means inflammation of the lower end of the esophagus. There are many grades of esophagitis going from mild to very severe. In patients with very severe esophagitis, this may even lead to bleeding, and patients can vomit blood due to the severe inflammation and damage to the lower end of the esophagus.
There are other two main complications that would happen in chronic acid reflux. One condition is called a Barrett esophagus. When you have a long-term inflammation of the esophagus due to acid irritation, there will have certain cell change in the lining of esophagus. So in Barrett esophagus, the cell lining in the esophagus basically change to the stomach type of cell. So when there's a change in this kind of cell, patient will have an increased risk of getting an esophageal cancer. So this was one of the major side effects and complication of the chronic acid reflux.
Stomach acid is a potent substance that helps break down food for digestion. The stomach has a protective inner lining to shield it from its own acid. However, other organs do not have this protection, and excessive acid reflux can cause damage. Some complications of chronic acid reflux include esophagitis. This refers to inflammation of the esophagus lining. Chronic esophagitis can cause pain and complications, such as the development of ulcers in the esophagus. Barrett's esophagus. This condition occurs when the cells in the esophagus lining are exposed to acid and inflammation for extended periods. It is also a risk factor for esophageal cancer. Esophageal stricture. In this condition, scar tissue forms in the esophagus, narrowing it in an effort to protect against chronic inflammation and damage. Esophageal stricture can make swallowing difficult, complicating eating and drinking. Laryngopharyngeal reflux, LPR. LPR occurs when acid reflux travels beyond the esophagus to the throat. This can cause swelling, hoarseness, and the growth of lumps on the vocal cords.
Yes, at first I was thinking it was gastric and all that, but because I notice every time I take spicy food, I eat late, and then I get this thing. I feel so bloated. I feel, all the time there's wind coming out from. So it's very, very uneasy.
Currently, mental health issues are gaining more attention due to the fast pace of modern life. Psychosocial disorders, such as depression and anxiety, are becoming more widespread across the world, including in Malaysia. Various factors have been identified as causes of these mental health challenges, with gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, being one of them.
Surprisingly, GERD is one of the causes that lead to these mental issue challenges.
When we talk about GERD, there's increased production of gastric juice in our stomach. So again, you can experience chest discomfort, bloatedness, abdominal discomfort. So, it's a mimic presentation of heart attack. So people who have underlying mental health disorder, they have tendency to have catastrophic thinking. They always think the worst case scenario. So chest pain because of the GERD, but they will also be having heart attack. So hence, when your brain telling you are having heart attack, so your brain giving a signal, you're not safe, I am not safe. So you will develop panic attack. So this is how GERD actually very much related to anxiety disorder.
Several clinical studies have confirmed the connection between psychosocial disorders and gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, with both conditions influencing each other. GERD can lead to depression and anxiety, while these mental health disorders can also trigger acid reflux symptoms. Individuals with depression are 1.7 times more likely to develop GERD compared to those who do not suffer from depression. The exact relationship between anxiety disorders and GERD remains unclear, whether it's psychological or physical. Some researchers believe that anxiety can relax the lower esophageal sphincter, LES, causing muscle tension and increasing stomach acid production.
GERD is generally diagnosed when patients when patients present with symptoms and they undergo something called an upper endoscopy, where that is a high definition camera is placed in the esophagus, and through the esophagus into the stomach to visualize the esophagus, the lower esophageal sphincter, and the whole stomach as well. Having said that, there is a significant percentage of patients who, even though they've had an upper esophageal, an upper endoscopy, we may not be able to diagnose GERD because the endoscopy may be normal.
Once we have confirmed acid reflux, or there's evidence of acid reflux from the diagnostic modality like upper GI endoscopy, pH studies, and also a manometry study, we will classify the GERD into mild, moderate, and severe. So for mild GERD, usually the individual or patient will experience symptoms once or twice in a month. Whereas in a moderate to severe GERD, individuals will experience 2 to 3 times of symptoms in a week, and usually the symptom severity can affect the quality of life.
Let's talk about acid reflux. How can we reduce acid reflux with simple lifestyle modifications such as staying active, eating healthy diet, reduce smoking, and reduce your alcohol intake? For some individuals with chronic reflux, they might need some medications to help to reduce the acidity in your stomach.
What we can do for a GERD patient is that always I will tell my patients to avoid the above food, and also especially for dinner time, try to avoid very high fat food because they will usually have a big side effect from the GERD, especially when they have very high fat food during the dinner time. And then a very important thing is that you can have ginger, usually because it's a natural remedy for the GERD. So you can either grate some of the ginger and put in your smoothie or in your recipe, or you can have ginger tea.
So to be cautious and constantly analyzing what I can eat, it can be very distressed to certain individuals. So sometimes they feel helpless and hopeless because, oh, I already restrict myself from eating spicy food. I already stopped eating oil food. Why I still having GERD? You know, so this constant helplessness and hopelessness make them prone to have depression because of the long-term lifestyle modification that they need to bear once they have diagnosis of GERD.
Lifestyle changes and a healthy diet are essential for preventing and reducing acid reflux or GERD symptoms. Avoid foods and drinks that can trigger or worsen acid reflux, such as spicy foods, fatty foods, chocolate, citrus fruits, caffeinated beverages, alcohol, and carbonated drinks. Instead of eating large meals at once, opt for smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day. Avoid lying down immediately after eating, and elevate your head when sleeping to minimize nighttime reflux. Stay active and consider losing weight if necessary, as it can help reduce pressure on the stomach and alleviate reflux symptoms. Quit smoking, as it weakens the lower esophageal sphincter, LES, and causes frequent acid reflux episodes. Manage daily stress through activities such as breathing exercises or meditation, as chronic stress can worsen acid reflux symptoms.
For patients who have intermittent episodes of reflux, and very often they will be able to treat these with over-the-counter medications. When we say over-the-counter medications, basically these are medications that you can buy from any pharmacy.
GERD is curable with the pharmacological treatment, lifestyle, and also a surgical intervention. But after this surgical intervention, the dietary, lifestyle, and also weight reductions, all this has to be carried out also, so that you won't get the recurrence of the GERD disease.
I've been taking quite long this medication. Only it helps to release the uneasiness. But what I have tried is on my own. I take this apple cider, cinnamon with honey. I'm drinking every morning.
Gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, can affect anyone, whether for a short time or permanently. Therefore, it is crucial to nurture awareness of the importance of living a healthy lifestyle for both yourself and those you love.
A healthy body nurtures a healthy mind. I'm Dr. Nisa Nabila, and thank you for watching My Body, My Life.